welcome to Too Much Effing Perspective. I'm Alan Keller.
And I'm Alex Hoffman. We are 4 into 11 consecutive days of Spinal Tap Moments. So far, we've heard stories from outlaw guitarist Jesse Dayton, Tony-nominated lyricist Michael Corey, author David Korn, and today we're going to crank it up to 11 with Atlanta-based multi-instrumentalist, singer, and songwriter Jay Wilms, who recently released his album The Fighter on Bandcamp.
Jay tells us about the time he went to Africa to play the music of Nigerian legend Fela Kuti with Fela's son, Femi. And let's just say Femi wasn't keyed in on what the rest of the band was doing.
I subbed in this band called Antibalas, which is an Afrobeat band. And at the time, it was the only band like that other than in Nigeria. They write their own music, but it's all with a lot of reverence for this guy named Fela Kuti, who is a Nigerian musician, very active in the 70s and 80s. So this producer wanted to make this play about this guy's life because the guy had a crazy life. He was a political dissident. You know, he had been jailed in Nigeria. U2 got him out to play the Amnesty International tour and all this. So he's like this iconic Bob Marley of Nigeria. But we got this gig. And so we do a year and a half on Broadway. And within that time, there's all kinds of crazy shit that happened. Prince watching us from this weird little window where he was only allowing himself to be backlit so that no one could see him. It was all very strange. But when the show ended, the first thing the production wanted to do was to go to Nigeria to where this guy used to live. And he has like a compound in the middle of Lagos. The idea was the first week we would be at Fela's place and we basically do open rehearsals for all of the community. And then the last weekend would be these shows for the wealthy people, which kind of footed the bill, right? And then on the last night, we would do a show at Fela's place at the Shrine. So we get in, we're playing, all the rehearsals are great, sort of like this magical thing. Fela has got a bunch of kids. The two sons specifically are very active and play music, one of which is Femi Kuti. And so on the last night, Femi's going to play his dad's tunes with the band. And so there had been all this internal strife in the band for a while. And the music director, who was really phenomenal, left after Broadway and didn't want to go to Nigeria, didn't want to do any touring or anything. He had a family. He was like, I'm done. And so the conductor, who was the drummer, sort of took control of the band at that point. The thing that was weird, though, is the guy who sang Fela's parts on Broadway, the actor, had a much lower voice. So we were playing a lot of these iconic songs in different keys. So it's the night of the show. We're towards the middle of the show, and it's time for Femi to come up. Femi walks up on stage, and right then I was like, oh, shit, we're going to play Water No Good Enemy, classic Fela tune, one of maybe 2 or 3 tunes that everybody that knows this music knows. And we're going to play it a whole step lower than the original. And I go over to the MD and I'm like, man, we need to play this in F, not in E flat, because he's going to come out and he's not going to know. We're going to kick this song out. And it starts everyone in with this big sort of like horn overture, you know, boom, bum, 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 ba-da, ba-da. Huge thing, you know, it's like orchestral almost, right? And the music director's like, oh man, it'll be fine. He'll hear what we're doing. I'm like, no, it's not going to be fine. So there's this moment where everyone's huddling. And some of the horn players, they kind of came on just for this trip to Nigeria. So they didn't really know the original music. They were reading sheet music. And some of them are like, I don't know if I'm reading, I'm going to be a mess. And I'm like, yeah, but you can kind of hear. So we're having this discussion. There's like 3,000 people watching, waiting. Femi's coming out. And the music director is just like, we're playing it in the original key. So he counts it off. Everyone starts playing. And there's like 6 keys happening. Femi's playing in one key, half the band's in the original key, half the band's in something else. Everyone's confused. It's like a train wreck. Femi's looking at his horn as if the horn is doing the wrong thing, you know? He's like, what's going on? And I just forever had this picture of him in this moment. Incredibly bad, man. So, you know, we pulled it together and everyone went back and played it in the show key, and Femi kind of made it through the entire song playing in the original key. So it was this like the band got together, but he never figured out where we were. And it was this catastrophe.
Thanks for joining us on this special episode of the TMEP Show. We hope you've enjoyed our 4th of 11 consecutive days of humbling but hilarious Spinal Tap moments.
Join us tomorrow when actor J.C. Wendell tells us about the time she was filming a movie in the haunted hotel where Robert F. Kennedy was assassinated on
Too Much Effing Perspective. Too Much Effing Perspective is a Milwaukee Talkies original. Evergreen Podcast Network.